Hello, hello, hi, folks. Welcome. Happy Tuesday. In hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. I am Sean Azimi with SideGigSean.com, where I help you look, start, and grow your side business. Welcome. Jenny, why are you up? I didn't text you, didn't tag you because I figured you're asleep. Why are you up? Welcome. I'll make it short, but very sweet. Last night I told a farmer story. I think it was last night or the night before. One of these nights I told a farmer story. I think it was last night. All right, let's get into it tonight. A couple of big announcements. I have the one, the only Margie Ali Prandy for this Thursdays with Sean, this Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, right here. Oh, you watched it today? Okay. Right here on my wall. I am so excited, you guys. You have no idea. Margie is a legend. She is one of the top 100 earners in the world. Like if you took all the companies, all the reps, all the world, she's one of the top 100. So she's amazing. So she's gonna be here with us Thursday. Can't wait for that. And I have a very big news. Oh, I can't share it tonight. I'll share it tomorrow, I promise. I'll actually post it on my wall. But I got some really cool news for me anyway. I'm gonna be live with somebody, with a few people on Thursday, but that's besides Thursdays with Sean. But I actually don't have the flyer yet. The people responsible, they're actually making the flyer, and then I will share it with you. It's an exclusive group, so I'm just blown away. I'm stoked. So that's coming. I'll post that tomorrow. But I'm telling you, you do not want to miss this Thursdays with Sean with Margie. Like, you do not want to miss that. And you can absolutely invite whoever you want to invite. So, all right, with that, oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I want to get better. I really want to get really good at this game. So I'm going in heavy duty. Some of you have noticed already, but yeah, we're going in pretty heavy duty. So thank you. I really appreciate that. I want to get really good at this gig. So no, I forgot what I titled. Embracing change. Right. Thank you, Jay. I am excited too. It was actually very. Among all the crap that's happening, it's nice to get some good news and kind of give you a little spark of what do you call it? Motivation. That's what Mick used to call it in Rocky. He goes, "What do you call it? Some kind of a motivation?" Anyway, I can't not digress. Like, I digress all the time. All right, I'm gonna get into it. I promise. I actually was here we go. I was working on a different project right before this live. I completely forgot that I was gonna go live. That's why I was so late. I was like, oh, what time is it? I was like, oh my God. So I apologize for that too. All right, let's get into it tonight. Embracing change. Sometimes you gotta break tradition. Sometimes you gotta break a long tradition in order to have a different life, right? I'll give you a little story tonight. Not a farmer story, although I could make it a farmer story, but it's definitely not a farmer story. So a young girl is in the kitchen watching her mom bake a fish. She takes this big fish and chops off the head, chops off the tail, puts it on the pan, and the little girl asks, "Mom, why did you chop off the head or the tail?" And the mom says, well, I don't know. My grandma used to do it, and I do it the same thing. It's all right. So she asks her grandma the next time she's there, and sees her grandma is doing the same thing. She's making the fish, and boom, boom. And then she asks grandma, hey, grandma, why do you chop off the head and chop off the tail, and then you bake the fish? And the grandma says, I don't know. My mom used to do that. So I learned it from my mom. Well, this girl is in luck because her great grandma is still alive. So when she gets to her, she asks her, hey, you know what? I asked my mom, and then my mom said grandma knows. Then I asked grandma doesn't know, and grandma said, you bake fish. Why do you chop off the head and the tail, and then you put it in the pan, and then you bake it? The great grandmother puts her hand on the girl's lap and says, it's simple, because it wouldn't fit in the pan. I'll pause for a second, let that marinate, let that sink in. We have been programmed to do things over and over and over the same way we've been taught. And what happens if we challenge those thoughts or those ways or those traditions of, let's say, I'll give you, what? I'm so, this is a whole other life, but you know what? I am so happy, so glad, well, I guess, that I've gone through this stuff I've gone through, because I can have this conversation with anybody, right? Nobody can not have this conversation with me. I can handle this conversation. And here's the thing. You go to school, you get good grades. And I used to hear this a lot, but I was like, whatever, right? But I get it now. You go to school, you're supposed to get good grades, you get a good job, and you're supposed to work your way up in the job. And obviously that's changed. You just got to hold on to the job. So you do all that, right? And then you teach the same things to your kids. And then the kids go on, do the same thing, and they're unhappy. You're unhappy. Generations before you were unhappy. Everybody's unhappy. And God forbid, somebody says, well, you know what? I got an entrepreneurial vein in my body, and I like to do this. And as soon as they say this, I know, right? I mean, sometimes you got to step out of tradition. Sometimes you got to, listen, just because they did it the same way, it doesn't mean it hasn't changed. You don't use the same, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there were no cell phones. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, with today, everybody's trying to rush and get that iPhone 15. Not a lot of people are iPhone 5. Why? Because it's changed over the years. It's upgraded itself. Same thing in the business world, in the relationship world, right? In the relationship world, think about it. I mean, I hadn't been in the dating scene for a long time, right? Before my ex left, I hadn't dated for a long time. So now when I have conversations here and there, it's different. It's so different than, 12, 13 years ago when I dated, right? Things have changed. Communications have changed. Styles have changed. And you keeping up with that tradition, sometimes it could be costly to you. It could be costing you a whole other life. That's why when people are presented with opportunities and a different way of earning a living, what's the first thing they say? Well, why? Because they're not used to it. They cut off the head and the tail, and they bake the fish. even though it fits fine in the pan. Because now they're bigger pans, right? Because now things have changed, things have improved. People are earning a living right here on their. I mean, if you deny that, I always say, the Nile is not just a river in Egypt, right? People make money on here. I'm going to post a post from this 3-year-old that they ask a question from her and she's giving a financial planning for her life. 3 years old. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It blows your mind, right? And yet we're here. I'm not saying tradition is bad, but I'm saying sometimes you got to step out of tradition and have a little oomph, right? Get out and kind of challenge, challenge that tradition, if you would. If you're presented with an opportunity to make more money online, if you're presented with an opportunity to take a look at a network marketing business, listen to me. I'm not afraid to say that stuff because this stuff is money. People are making a ton of money in this profession. If you say no, you're denying it. It doesn't matter to those who are making the money. You can deny it until you're blue and black and green and purple and yellow. It doesn't really matter. When the guy is making a couple $100,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $500,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $50, whatever, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you say, right? So sometimes you got to step out of that tradition and break that tradition in order to not be the same as everybody else down the line. Imagine if this girl had not asked, hey, why do you cut off the head and the tail? Imagine she didn't ask. She would go on baking the fish the same way and teach it to her daughter the same way. And it'll pass on and pass on. Unless you step out of tradition, challenge that tradition, and say, listen, I am open to taking a look at something that I would never think I would do. That's challenge the tradition. Because why? Because you don't think you're going to do it, because you're not in that, it's not in that line, right? So if it's not in that line, you wouldn't think about it because it's not in the line of tradition. I'm asking you to step out of that line and challenge that and say, hey, why do we all have to do this? There's so many different ways we can have a much better life and serve and do better for community and the world. Right? Sometimes you got to challenge that tradition like this little girl did. And sometimes you got to ask the question and find out the root and say, hey, you know, maybe I don't need to cut off the head and the tail. Maybe they're tasty. Maybe I keep it in the pan. So if you've been approached by somebody and they've asked you to take a look at an opportunity, product line, whatever, and you're like, right? I'm asking you to break tradition. I'm asking you to get out of that line and challenge that and say, you know what, I am open. I love to take a look. Let me take a look and let me decide. Sumir, namaste, namaste. And that is what's important. That's today. That's today. If you want to be stuck in yesterday, then you can go along with that. But like I said, there may be a much better life on the other side of tradition that you may want to challenge. So with that, hopefully you guys got some love, some inspiration, some value from this. I appreciate you guys. Drop your thoughts, your comments, your feedback. One takeaway from this live, drop it in the comments. Don't forget, this Thursday, I am interviewing the one, the only Margie Ali Prandi, Thursdays with Sean, right here on my wall. And the other news, I'll post it tomorrow because I don't have a flyer yet. But with that, if you feel like this was worthy of sharing, do what you got to do. Spread the love, tag a couple of people. And I did not flip my screen, huh? Everything's backwards. I just noticed that. All right, then. And I am Sean Azimi with SideGigSean.com, where I help you look, start, and grow your side business. Signing off until tomorrow when we do it all over again.